My name is Peter Nählstedt. I'm the CEO of SenzaGen, and we are looking at replacing animal testing with best-in-class in vitro technology. So we're doing relatively well with that. We are on a mission to take the lead in non-animal testing by combining organic growth with selected acquisitions. So far this year, we have more than tripled our sales. We received the most important regulatory approval in our line of business, the OECD approval for our flagship test Guard Skin this year by the half-year mark. And end of last year, we made our first acquisition. Our vision is to replace animal testing with best-in-class in vitro technology, thereby establishing new industry standards and contribute to safer products in society. We have in our little group now 2 companies. So we have SenzaGen in Lund, which was formed in 2014. It has its expertise in skin sensitization testing, which is an endpoint which chemical companies, medical device companies, cosmetic companies, and pharma companies must attend to as they are developing new products to prove that their products are safe. We are the developers of a state-of-the-art Guard technology. We also offer a couple of other toxicity tests, also, of course, non-animal. We have 20 highly trained employees, I should say, 8 PhDs, and we also have our sales and marketing team in Lund. We acquired a company called Vator based in Milan, Italy, last year. It has a complementary expertise in what is called 3D models, so human tissue models, spheroids, organoids, in the microphysiology system area. Also offers innovation and consulting services and regulatory toxicology tests that complement the tests that SenzaGen carries. 10 employees, of which 6 are PhDs. We address a growing global market of in vitro toxicology. The market is estimated at $9 billion. We think that together with Vator, we are in a position to pursue up to a third of that. And we're looking at, with selected acquisitions and own development, address other endpoints. As you can see on the left-hand side, you have the toxicology tests are built up of several endpoints where skin and sensitization is one. It's the fastest growing, but not by far the largest. But there is a number of other endpoints, which I won't go into detail at this point. The whole market is growing, and it is, of course, a number of favorable market drivers. So animal testing bans, so EU was very fast with that, with banning cosmetics testing on animals in 2014. And it is actually also forbidden to sell a cosmetic product in EU, which in any other country has been tested on animals. This is spreading across the world. There is also animal bans in certain Asian markets, like South Korea and Japan, and in certain states in United States. Apart from the regulatory or legislative driver, there is, of course, increased ESG engagement from medical device companies, for instance, that want to reduce the animal testing. Also, I think pharma is looking at replacing animal testing where they can. And finally, the tests that are on the market based on animals are not human relevant enough. They are in fact not humans, so it doesn't make sense that they should be totally predictable when it comes to predicting the response in a human being. So there is a demand for more human relevant and more effective tests. So our growth strategy is to combine organic growth with acquisition growth. So on the organic side, it's a pretty simple strategy. We're looking at driving and developing a direct and distributor-based sales force, obtaining the regulatory status that we started on with the Guard Skin, but there are other endpoints, other tests in the Guard portfolio that we can pursue, and to broaden our service portfolio by offering more non-animal tests. Then on the acquisition side, we want to acquire, like we did with Vator, complementary companies in growth mode. And we want to focus on realizing income synergies, not cost synergies between those two. So the idea is to maintain an independent entity ownership and management incentives to join our team. On the organic growth, we focus, as I said, on Europe and North America and parts of Asia. We have a key account focus and then complementary distributors. The regulatory acceptance is important, and OECD is the most important one, as it is the official test guideline. But we are also working on incorporating our GUARD platform in the new ISO standard for medical devices and in the FDA's medical device development tool standard. The idea is also to expand our product and service portfolio, because we found that it is a relationship-based business. We have very large customers. Once we have established a relationship, we have a chance to sell more tests and develop tests together. So it is important that we are also offering a broader portfolio to benefit from that sales work we already did. We are working on several sales channels. So the direct sales and marketing is one. We have a key account focus to prioritize large and mid-sized customers. We are, of course, like you have to do in life sciences, driving a scientific agenda and working up our key opinion leader network. We're publishing a lot. We're very active. We are presenting on the major scientific toxicology conferences. We have developed our marketing activities through webinars, but also our website, and our goal is to drive more customer self-qualification. We do that with a small team of 6 people based in Lund, and most of our sales generated so far we do with this team. We have, however, also signed a number of distributors, more or less a dozen distributors and agents, mainly in Europe and Asia, who are performing complementary sales activities where we cannot reach. We are, of course, supporting them with the key account structure we have. It is a low share of our current sales, but it is expected to grow. And the final model, multi-channel model we have is CROs. Here we have licensed our technology GUARD, so that they can perform the test themselves directly to the customers. And it enables a sales growth for us without expanding our lab, and it is a high margin license sale, of course. So we have 3 CROs deployed, 2 in US, 1 in Germany. It is currently a fraction of our sales, but with the OECD approval in place, we expect it to grow. So since we are not selling a product, we are selling a test. We have a lab, which is GLP, which is the quality standard for testing. Maybe today talked about GMP, but in the lab world, it's the GLP. So our test turnover at SenzaGen, we have doubled our tests this year. So more than 600 tests will be performed this year, and we can double it once more in our current facility. Thereafter, we have to expand with more CROs or facility expansions. Just a few words on our acquisition-driven growth. So we want to do this with industrial logic and look at complementary, small and profitable companies that can help build a one-stop shop around non-animal testing. So one dimension of this strategy is to look at the value chain. So we are performing in vitro toxicology, which is what is it from your side, the third step from the left. And there are activities in the value chain to the left, which has to do about the strategy, how you should go about testing. There is in silico or computer simulations which are happening. Then you confirm them in vitro, and then you use the results for regulatory purposes, which is also a highly interesting area for us to build up an expertise around. So that's one dimension around the value chain. And then, of course, as I alluded to in my earlier part, the endpoint area. So we are in skin irritation, corrosion, and sensitization. It's a $550 million market, growing fast. But the ones that I highlight in bold here, carcinogenicity, genotoxicity, ADME, and organ toxicity are also very interesting from our point of view, also neurotoxicity. The ones in green are areas that we are in some way already addressing together with VitroScreen. Our idea around acquisitions is like doing what we did with VitroScreen, that the management is maintained and have an incentive in our group. We are focusing on creating cross-sales with our joint sales force, and also to do cross-development work with new tests, and to some extent find some purchasing efficiencies. I think that acquisitions at this early stage of a company is highly interesting because we have invested a lot into building up a sales force. These small companies do not afford by themselves to have a sales force, so I think it creates a good leverage to work together with the large customers like that. We are also looking then at, as you can see, it's a big value for us to acquire a commercially operating lab where we can expand capacity more easily than to start greenfield operations. We also think, and that has also happened, that we acquire new knowledge and that gives us more effective R&D. We have scanned and we're working on a gross list of more than 100 companies. I think at this moment in time and how the market is right now, smaller size acquisitions are actionable, both from a financing point of view, what we already have in our war chest, and highly relevant. And then larger acquisitions, we would have to look at secured financing for, which may or may not be an opportunity. So that's the strategy, and how is the company doing then? So this is our half-year numbers. So we almost quadrupled our sales from 5 million in the first half of 2021 to almost 20 million in first half of 2022. Around half of that organic, which means that the facility in Lund grew with 87%, and then half of it acquired, meaning that the Vitroscreen operation contributed with more than 10 million. We had a negative EBIT, which is minus 13.7 compared to minus 14, a small improvement. However, since we are not reporting in IFRS, we are also depreciating the goodwill, meaning that our without depreciation of our acquired assets, our EBIT would have been minus 11.4. So we have reached a turning point and the company is now moving towards profitability. You can also see that with our cash flow, which is decreasing. Of course, our cash has decreased from 69 to 49 million, but that included an earnout of 5 million paid to Vitroscreen. And also that we had very high trade receivables at the end of the period with almost 9 million kronor on the balance sheet. So our from management and the board, we estimate that we have enough money to take the company to break even, and that we also see, of course, some working capital needs in the future. But we have secured the financing we need for the organic growth journey. And so that was what we reported around the half-year mark. And today we are not doing quarterly reports, but we are doing a quarterly sales update. So we sold for 9 million in quarter three, almost tripling our sales, meaning that for the period, for first 9 months, we are now nearly a 30 million Swedish kronor company, up from about 8 million. So the company is in fast growth mode. And we don't have any, because we are a small company, so you can't talk about seasonal variations with our activities. But Vitroscreen typically has a weaker quarter three. Quarter three is the holiday period in Europe. It's mainly the European customers, and we also close down the lab for a week or two during August. So we had a little bit of a seasonably weaker Q3. That's something you can get used to as potential investors of SenzaGen. But the development overall is very, very encouraging, because we had growth from both the existing customers and we acquired new ones in both medical devices and pharmaceutical industry, and our tailored services in Vitroscreen perform well, also the advisory services. We also created some revenue synergies, so meaning that we sold each other services, and in particular on the medical device market, which is highly interesting at the moment for testing. The new MDR, which you might have spoken about earlier today, is driving increased testing demand. Basically, as a medical device company, you need to retest your products before the end of 2024. We have had other key achievements than sort of purely financial. We've had our largest order to date for a new test called Guard Skin Dose Response. It is worth 4.2 million. It's for an international industry association based in US. Another industry association, RIFIM, awarded our then, I should say, second largest order of 1.5 million for non-animal testing, where we have adapted the test for photosensitization, so UV exposure, to then see how that the product is still safe after sunlight. We got the largest order to date for our Guard Skin platform from a world-leading chemical company based in the US, and we had follow-on order for another US-based chemical. Actually, this year, it seems like our largest market is in the US. We realized some important acquisition synergies. We received orders from for the joint test and service offering for the medical device market that we launched in Q1. We also joined forces between SenzaGen and VitroScreen to develop new tests. So we combined the 3D cell models from VitroScreen with the gene expression know-how we have at SenzaGen and the algorithm know-how, and that we are putting through our platform now. So we performed a couple of tests with paying customers. Things are looking really interesting. I think they will yield more interesting tests for us in the future. And just to highlight some of our clients, we work with Takasago, where we had a presentation together with them. Takasago is a 1.2 billion cosmetic and food ingredient company based in Japan. We have a ongoing relationship and publication also orders from a Swiss hearing aid company called Sonova, one of the largest hearing aid, or perhaps the largest hearing aid company in the world, about 4 billion Swiss franc company. And then, of course, with Corteva AgriScience, former DuPont AgriScience, so in the agrochemical sector, $16 billion chemical company, which we are working with. So we are working with the largest organizations, and they're putting faith in our tests and coming back with new orders, which we are pleased with. So the biggest achievement was the OECD approval. It's the first, and so far only, genomics and machine learning-based in vitro skin sensitization assay. Why this is important for us is that it is a regulatory breakthrough. So OECD has an internationally agreed upon in vitro test method library. And if a test is performed with any of these OECD-approved methods, it means that the data is transferable between the OECD member countries. So it is important for an organization to use tests when they evaluate their products that is on the OECD list. So now we got Guard Skin on that list. It took from 2011, so it was a long time. We got the peer review 1 year ago, and then now this year we got the regulatory acceptance and standards. It means that it opens up the in vitro skin sensitization market more for SenzaGen. So before, we were more into the R&D projects where customers can use Guard for screening for sensitization potential, thereby ruling out product candidates. But with a test, we can also now use the results in a regulatory setting for REACH, for chemicals, for instance, or for product safety sheets for cosmetics. So it is a very important step, and it's a quality stamp of all the work that the team did over so many years that we are very proud of. So why why do they care about another assay in OECD? Well, it is the first genomics-based assay. It has a very high predictability as compared with the in vivo tests and also the legacy first generation, we call them, in vitro tests. So the predictability in our ring trials was shown to be around 94%. And the other key feature is that you can use it for a very broad applicability domain. So you can use it for formulations and mixtures, unknown compositions like botanical extracts, for instance, important in the cosmetics industry. Use it for metals, lipophilic compounds and surfactants, which are difficult to use in other test systems. It is quite time and cost effective. We have priced the test a little above what has been available previously, but not cost prohibitive. and it is also consume a relatively fast test. We can perform it in our lab in 2 weeks' time. A total turnaround now, because we have a bit of a queue building up, it's 4 to 8 weeks. And this ability to analyze difficult to test samples with complex mixtures and extracts and medical devices is an unmet need. There are no other products or tests that can handle that. So that's the main positioning element in our marketing. So what happened now after the summer? So this is not things that are an industry with like life sciences in general, where things doesn't just switch immediately, but the interest in our guard technology has increased significantly. So we have a lot more customer inquiries. We have confirmed interest from customers. We get a lot more speaker invitations. Our website traffic has improved. We have record high participation in our webinars, and we're issuing about twice the amount of quotations as we did before the approval, also when our sales started to go. So we are now working hard to turn all this interest into orders and find new customers. So what's going to happen now? So now we took the test through OECD. We are now an established company with an approved test. We expect to continue to see increased demand, of course, so we have added more sales and operational capacity. We will continue to deliver group income synergies and new test developments. We will work on our acquisition agenda to complement our portfolio with more tests now that we have so many new customers. And we think that with this very quick sales growth and a continued good cost control like we had in the first half, of course, this will lead to continued decrease in operating losses and take the company to break even, which is our goal. Thank you very much.